What's going on, guys? Wolf here. Welcome to the Week 7 Team Builder. Today we're going to be going over the team we're going to be using for Zayden of the White Forest Flygons. Um, I'll be honest, overall, our team, it matches up very well against his team, just straight up. Um, a lot of our Pokemon have really good type advantages versus a lot of his. He doesn't have a flying type, which means he's very vulnerable to things like Earthquake. In fact, he's got, I think, 3 or 4 things weak to it. Going over his list real quick, Mega Lopunny is his Mega, Jirachi, Breloom, all 3 of those as his OU picks. He originally had Mega Latias, but dropped Mega Latias for Mega Lopunny, which I totally agree with on his team, um, because he had things like Cresselia already as a bulky Psychic type. Uh, and he didn't really. I mean, the loss of Dragon type definitely hurts him against other Dragon types, but he has things. He has a lot of things with Ice Punch. He has Jirachi with Ice Punch, obviously. Um, he's got Water types like Tentacruel with Ice Beam. Golurk, I believe, gets Ice Punch as well. So quite a lot of coverage available to handle other dragons. So Mega Latias seemed kind of redundant. Uh, Mega Latios seemed kind of redundant, and going Mega Lopunny gives him a little bit more speed and a little bit more power, since his only real fighting type was Breloom, who isn't really that offensive. So I agree with that switch for him. Um, the rest of his team, he does have the Cresselia, as I mentioned. He has Arcanine and Tentacruel rounding out his UU slots. Giving him that Fire Water Grass core was Breloom, Arcanine, and Tentacruel. He also has Trevenant as another possible grass type, Deontay, Ambipom, Golurk, Malamar, and Electivire to round out his full team. So, as I mentioned before I went through the team list, he has no flying type. Cresselia is the only thing with Levitate that actually does not get hit with Earthquake. So he's very Earthquake vulnerable. Jirachi is super effective. Mega Lopunny doesn't really have a lot of defense, so it takes a decent amount from it. Arcanine is super effective. Tentacruel is super effective. Electivire is super effective. Deontay is super effective. So, I mean, Earthquake just rips through his team. And we have a lot of things that actually use Earthquake. Mamoswine has Earthquake. Infernape has Earthquake. Dusknoir has Earthquake. Mega Venusaur has Earthquake. Just a ton of things that can take advantage of a lot of his team's weaknesses uh, for our team. So we have an excellent matchup versus his team. Now, Mamoswine uh, is gonna you're gonna be looking at this set going, what? Expert Belt Mamoswine? What's going on here? So the logic behind this set is Expert Belt with Ice Coverage, Earthquake, and Knockoff. All 3 of those together hit his team literally 10 out of the 12 members super effectively. The only thing that doesn't hit super effectively is Ambipom and Mega Lopunny. Ambipom he's probably not going to bring. Mega Lopunny I'm not going to be staying into because it obviously is going to beat the crap out of me with Drain Punch or High Jump Kick or anything really. So, we're not going to be doing anything with messing with fighting types like that, but for everything else, we have super effective coverage. And since Life Orb Recoil seems kind of redundant when we have super effective coverage, we're going with Expert Belt. So now the option occurred that I could drop, say, either Icicle Crash or Ice Shard and use Superpower. And with Superpower, I'd have access to super effective coverage for Mega Lopunny and Ambipom. But again, I don't expect him to bring Ambipom. And Mega Lopunny, its defense is low enough that if I can predict the switch, I can just slam it with an Earthquake anyways. And the combination of Earthquake and Ice Shard will allow me to take it out without the need for Superpower. So instead, I opted to get the hard-hitting Icicle Crash or the priority Ice Shard, depending on what I needed. Now, second on the list, we have Infernape. Now, again, the EVs, I wanted to maximize my EVs at 284 for speed to outspeed a lot of his key threats. Specifically, things like I wanted to pressure Jirachi if Jirachi didn't have full speed investment. I wanted to pressure things like Breloom, I wanted to pressure a lot of his team. He wants to run bulk, and he has run bulk in the past. Things like Cresselia is full defensive. Arcanine is usually a defensive set. Tentacruel is usually especially a defensive set. So a lot of these things don't have speed investment. So I want to capitalize on that by pushing my speed as high as it can go, so that if he's trying to run bulkier sets, I'm going to punish him for it. Now, the other major coverage hitter that we're running on our team today is Infernape. Um, Infernape, as well as Mamoswine, handles pretty much everything on the team. Flare Blitz hits the grass type super effectively. Close combat hits things like Mega Lopunny, hits things like Ambipom. Uh, U-Turn hits Cresselia. Earthquake again hits like half his team. We are running a Scarf set, specifically because we need a counter to Scarf Jirachi. He brings Scarf Jirachi with Iron Head, Body Slam, and usually Ice Punch, and then probably something like Zed Headbutt I expect for Mega Venusaur. He brings Scarf Jirachi just about every match, and I need to have an answer for it, and the best answer I have is a Scarf Infernape. Jirachi, obviously, with its base stats at 100 across the board, even a timid Jirachi or a Jolly Jirachi cannot outspeed Infernape because Infernape has the base 108 Jolly, which outspeeds by 8 base stat points, or 8 base coverage on the rating. So Flare Blitz will be able to take out the Jirachi, no problem. And we can switch into things like Iron Heads or Ice Punches without a problem. So that's the plan for Jirachi. This is mainly what I'm bringing the Scarf for and why I'm bringing Infernape in the first place. Any additional coverage I have with things like close combat for neutral stab hits is perfectly okay, but I'm expecting Flare Blitz to probably be the #1 move I'm using. So that being said, obviously, as I talked about, I wanted outspeed Jirachi, so we have to go 252 Jolly. We could have gone like 248 or something like that, but the rest of the EVs don't necessarily matter too much. We wanted max speed and max attack. I don't expect this to be taking a lot of hits. We're just looking to outspeed everything and try and one-shot it, so any bulk investment is kind of relatively useless. So, going into our first bulky attacker, we're going to be running with Dusknoir again. As I've used before, I really love the ability to just max out an HP and attack on this thing. Priority Shadow Sneaks hit like a truck, gets access to Will-O-Wisp, and it gets access to a plethora of nice covers moves like Earthquake, or Ice Punch, or Elemental Punches, or in this case, Brick Break for Mega Lopunny. So quite a lot of options available to us. We are running, of course, Frisk again. I like Frisk's ability best. I like to scout for those choice items, especially on something like Jirachi, who this thing is a natural switch in for anyways. We can find out ahead of time if that thing is actually running Choice Scarf or if it's running something else. We also get coverage on being able to switch in Frisk against things like, say, Arcanine. Or Golurk. Golurk might have any number of items depending on what it's doing. It might be like a banded dynamic punch variant. It could be a leftovers variant with stealth rockets. I mean, it's got a few different sets available to it. So we are running Frisk to do some scout work. Shadow Sneak, of course, for priority. Will-O-Wisp to neuter his team. A lot of his teams are physical attackers. Just about the only thing that can not afford to switch into a Will-O-Wisp is Arcanine. So definitely some good coverage with that. Brick Break, of course, for Mega Lopunny. We definitely want an answer to it because Mega Lopunny can hit us thanks to its scrappy ability. We also have Earthquake as general coverage against just about everything on his team. And then 252s in HP and attack with an adamant nature to maximize our Shadow Sneak damage. Our specially defensive wall, I guess you could say, is of course Assault Vest Tornadus Therian. Now, I need an answer to Cresselia. That's the #1 thing I need an answer for. Cresselia is a bulky wall of doom. It's got a ton of either physical or special bulk depending on how he distributes it, but I'm expecting a physical hit, or a physically defensive set because A, that's what he's been running all the time, and B, he has things like Tentacruel's especially defensive wall, so He definitely wants to run physically, and we're going to take advantage of that by hitting it on the special side with Dark Pulse. Um, I know Dark Pulse isn't quite as common on this thing, especially thanks to the fact that it has access to U-turn and stuff like that, but Dark Pulse is the best answer I have on this team to handle Cresselia. I also have Air Slash over Hurricane because the only real things I'm going to be Air Slashing 100% of the time are either Mega Lopunny, who dies to an Air Slash anyways, or Breloom, who's 4 times weak and also dies anyways. So Air Slash is just a more accurate version of something that I need to hit with. Psychic is also an interesting choice. Probably people are scratching some heads on that one. The main purpose of that is for Tentacruel. Yes, Tentacruel is probably going to be a specially defensive wall, but Psychic will still do around a third damage, so it's going to be like a 3-hit KO at full health. But if I can get some prior damage onto it, or if it, say, switches into this, and we hit it with any number of moves, it might very well be a 2-hit KO, so I might only need to take 1 hit from it. So, and then we have, of course, U-turn for getting switch momentum. We are running max HP, max special attack again. His team is a little slow. Mega Lopunny is too fast for us anyways. So it really comes down to what else are we going to outspeed? And the answer is pretty much nothing. So running max special attack and getting that HP up to help tank a few more hits and help boost Regenerator a little bit better is kind of the way I wanted to roll this week. We're going to skip Venusaur for a minute. We're going to go Vaporeon. Vaporeon is going to be our physical wall. We are running a Scald set with Wish, Heal Bell, and Protect as support, and Water Absorb to tank the Scalds from Tentacruel. Probably not going to happen too much, but its other ability in Hydration isn't going to be a factor, so this is really just, okay, if Tentacruel comes out and we know it's going to be spamming Scald, this gives us an opportunity to come in and maybe Heal Bell or Wish something up. So we are running, again, physically defensive. This is also a pretty good switch into Jirachi. Heal Bell takes care of any like Body Slam or Thunder Wave shenanigans. And Wish Protect Stall helps stall out the fact that it's going to be trying to do flinch stalling attacks. And then Scald, if I can get a burn on it, will probably neuter Jirachi for the rest of the game. So max HP, max defense to help run that plan as far as we can get it. Our last Pokemon is Venusaur this week. Yes, we are running an offensive Venusaur this week. We're not running a defensive like I have in the rest of my matches. Now, the reason why I came to this conclusion is the fact that I really wanted Earthquake for most of his team. As I covered before, a lot of his things are weak to Earthquake. I wanted Giga Drain to handle things like Golurk, to handle pretty much any neutral stab attack so I can get some health back. The Giga Drain's hitting very hard is going to allow us to get quite a bit of health back. We are running Synthesis, but Sludge Bomb is there for things like Trevenant, to a lesser extent things like Breloom, and just, again, neutral stab versus things that I don't expect to have to hit with Giga Drain, things like Ambipom, Electivire, Malamar, just more damage basically. And then Synthesis is a fourth move because there are things that can't really touch this. Things like Breloom have a really hard time with this, so we can Synthesis stall it. Things like Cresselia, if it has Psychic, will be a problem, but if it doesn't have Psychic, then it can't really touch us. Things like, to a lesser extent, Tentacruel. Tentacruel can't touch us either, so we do have Synthesis stall for that. So basically just a good way to get some health back if we expect to go against the things that don't have a lot of attack power. Now, we are running full HP instead of something like speed, simply because I don't really need to outspeed anything again. His team is a little bit slower, give or take. There's still a lot of things that can outspeed a base 80 with 0 speed investment and actually a negative nature. But I'm not necessarily worried about outspeeding things because I know I can Giga Drain back up or Synthesis back up. So I'm just looking to kill basically anything that might want to switch into this. Things like Arcanine will probably want to switch into this. Things like Jirachi will want to switch into this. It's a perfect opportunity for me to just spam Earthquakes. So that's the team. Like I said, I'd like to say I'm pretty confident about this week. Uh, we have a terrific matchup versus Zayden, so Zayden's going to have to be on point if he wants to do anything to us. Um, our main game plan is, again, probably getting rid of that Cresselia and getting rid of that Mega Lopunny, and then finding a way to deal with that Jirachi. Those are the three most common threats that I expect to deal with. And if I can deal with those, smooth sailing, boys. There's nothing that he can do to us if we can get rid of those. So, uh, this should be up probably after the match itself this week. The TCL is going to be switching to basically a mega thread with all the TCL and NPA stuff. We're going to be doing advertisements for all of the TCL matches every week, so they're probably going to reverse in terms of how we're going to send them out. Since I need my matches up first thing in the morning, I'm going to be putting the matches up in the morning, and then I'll probably put the team builders up in the evening. So that way, if you guys have questions about the match, you can look at the team builder as to why I built the way I did. So chances are you've probably already seen the match, but if you haven't, go check that out, as well as checking out my opponent's channel as well, which will be linked below. So, thanks again, guys. See you guys next week.